My journey and how I got into education is a bit convoluted story can be confusing sometimes. But if you stick with me, I promise we'll get there in the end. So my background beginnings are common enough. I am the child of European immigrants, and I didn't speak English until I was 5 years old. I actually learned to speak English in junior kindergarten. My elementary and secondary years are mostly unremarkable. Lots of report card comments like more effort needed, should try more, that kind of stuff. In short, I was a mediocre student at best. It wasn't until grade 11 when I tried to drop math, and my guidance counselor suggested that I drop down to applied as I wasn't destined for university. That's when things really got interesting. Upon presenting my normally calm father, this awesome plan, and a phone call to the school later, not only was I still in academic level courses, I now had 2 maths to contend with. I eventually did graduate high school, and I got into university with a gift of a 50% in functions and relations and the promise to never return to that teacher's class. Even the university I ended up at was considered a mediocre university at best. Are you sensing a theme? I spent the next 5 years working on my bachelor's degree. That changed so many times that I'm not even sure at this point what I graduated with. I think it was a Bachelor of Arts. And in 1993, I began to work in the family business. I went back to school part-time at night because I was right across the street from York University. So I would work during the day and then go to school at night to work on my business degree and pick up some courses where I could help in the family business. And I started to think that for the first time in my life, maybe, just maybe, I could get a master's degree. And that maybe I was more academic than I always believed I was. Instead, I ended up married and having kids and spending the next 25 years raising my amazing girls and becoming a fixture on parent council with the nickname the over-involved parent. My 3 girls, however, would be anything but mediocre. And I was going to make sure of that. In the meantime, I became a partner in the family business, and the dream of some kind of postgraduate something or other was permanently put on the back burner. It wasn't going to happen. Volunteering at school, so I volunteered at the elementary school and later on at the secondary school, led eventually to a part-time position as a hall monitor, and just before COVID, I became an occasional supply teacher. So I was doing 2 jobs. I was working at the school, and then I was running to the office to do the accounting here. During COVID, I was hired as pandemic support, and I continued to work those 2 jobs. I worked at school until 2:30, and then I would run and I would work at the office till close. So interwoven between work and family was my passion for photography and technology. I'm self-taught photographer, and other than the occasional online course here and there, I mostly learned things just by picking it up and doing it. If I'm missing, which happens more often than you think, you could usually find me on the trail somewhere. Often my camera is on and I'm lost somewhere. Learning to balance all of these parts became a bit of an art form, and I got really good at it. Fast forward to the present, I found myself an empty nester. Kids have all graduated, moved on. They're all in university themselves, and I had time on my hands, which is never really a good thing. One day, my principal suggested that I might have missed my calling. And suddenly my dream of postgraduate school was back on the table. And I did something I never truly allowed myself to think possible. I got into Queen's. Not a mediocre school. And I did it on my own merit. Not a mediocre me. This was new. Why is this important? Because throughout this entire process, I had an epiphany. If a teacher, any teacher along this timeline, had noticed that the reason that I was always a mediocre student was in fact because I'm a kinesthetic learner and I'm neurodivergent, a term that simply didn't exist back then. Passive lecture style learning was the only option. And if you were anything other than that, you got left behind. There was nothing for you. And how different things may have been for me. I could have possibly even been an honor roll student like my siblings were, and maybe a less of a disappointment to my parents and to myself. Instead, at 54, I'm just discovering that I am indeed an academic, and certainly as intelligent as anyone else. Not something I ever thought of. I just wasn't taught how to access that spark. I don't think anyone knew how to access those sparks in anybody who was thought a little differently. And thankfully now, through the theory of pedagogy, which has evolved, we know now that there is as many learning styles and learners as there are stars in the sky. My focus is to make sure that no other child that ever crosses my path is never given every opportunity to access their spark. That every child has the potential to be more than mediocre. So this course, Integrated Planning, Instruction, and Assessment, is part of a larger plan for me to become a classroom specialist. My hope is to teach teachers how to integrate modern technology, something that I am fluent in, and to learn a variety of pedagogies which I am not fluent in, and that's why I'm here, and a whole lot of caring to ensure that every child that crosses my path knows and feels that they're good enough to never put anything on the back burner. A teacher has the power to build up and tear down a child, and I want to be that person that builds those strong foundations. Which brings me to you. Hi, my name is Renata Quattro. I'm a mature student at Queen's, and it's a pleasure to meet you.